All right, guys, welcome to this week's Restoration Revelations. Why do I call it a revelation? Is because I've had a revelation about how to build these cars different than everybody else does. And this week, I'm going to be walking you through the whole thing. And I'm a believer, and we're going to touch on the book of Revelations at the end of the thing. Stick with me. It's going to be a good ride this week. Man, it's just a cool car. Wait till you see what I'm going to do to it. It ain't even fast yet, baby. This is going to be a really good week. I'm going to show you guys things you have never seen before. My vision for these Chevelles is really creative. It's really different. Like, subscribe, follow along. Heck, ask me questions, man. I will respond to you. Seriously, like, get involved. This is really cool. These are 3D print. I'll show you all kinds of cool stuff. But what we're going to do first is take a burn in this bad boy, and I'm going to show you all the cool stuff we got going on. When we come back, I'll close it up. This is my opportunity to share with you guys exactly what sets our cars apart from what everybody else does. Let's talk you through the cold air induction. These old Chevelles would come with a cowl induction hood if they're an SS, right? Cool, love it. They would bring cold air into the engine. Well, my goal was to come up with a way to actually ram cold air into an LS3 motor, and I figured it out. I call it forced induction. So what I did was I actually made the air filter part of the induction system. So it starts outside the car below the bumper. You've got a nice cool scoop that pulls in the cold air, in towards the filter. I use a filter from a C7 Corvette. And then I link that up through a 3D printed two different parts where it interfaces back to the engine. Now you got a true forced cold air induction system that's set to bring that cold air into the engine. The reason you do that, everybody knows that cold air is more dense, and more dense air means more oxygen, means the engine's gonna run better. Forced induction, only available through Studio Hot Rod, and I love it. The door handles for the power windows, all you gotta do is touch it. Look at that, perfect. You just touch it and they go up and down. But something I noticed is all those door handles on these old cars kind of wonky and wiggly. 3D printed, a little interface in there so you don't get no rattle. Next thing, cup holders, lighted cup holders. These are custom cut into the original console that I love so much because it's got the original style of the car. But we actually 3D printed the cup holders and the interface for there. All the venting for the HVAC stuff is custom printed. There's a custom printed piece behind here. It's quiet and smooth. 3D printed parts just inside the car. It's pretty cool. Indirect lighting in the car all over the place. It's all LED. Get to the back and you've got LED tail lights, LED headlights, LED running lights, and you got indirect lighting again in the trunk with a tilt switch. So as you open the trunk up, the tilt switch goes. Remember, you came with the Mercury switch. Anyways, that lighting is indirect. The sexiest, best part of the light is under the hood. I put in something they call rock lights. Again, with a tilt switch, and it's indirect. So when you open the hood, it's stunning, gorgeous. Wait till you see it at night. Those indirect lights are bright, and you can't even tell where they're coming from. Lighting on this car is top shelf, and it's purposeful. Engine's new, the transmission's new, the rear end is brand new, and I don't buy junkyard motors. I buy directly from General Motors on the engine transmission. Why? Yes, it costs a little bit more, but it's so reliable, man. Speaking of driving, watch this. This thing gets it. 495 horsepower, 4L80E transmission. I've got a 350 gear in the rear end, and this thing performs excellent. That's why I can offer a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty. Fuel injection, and to boot, I get you 20 miles to the gallon on the highway, as long as you don't go too fast. Let's talk about building a dream car. The guy's name is Bill that actually contacted me, wanted me to build this car. He put his trust and faith in me to build him his dream car. And this 70 Chevelle I just happened to have. I bought it at an auction, Hugger orange, but it had black stripes and a black interior. He goes, I'd love an orange car, Harry, but I don't want black stripes and I don't want a black interior. I'm like, what do you want? He goes, I want white stripes, white interior, and a white vinyl top. I'm like, I think I can do it. So anyways, we went back and forth. I told him what it would cost to have it in the exact way he wants it. He pulled the trigger and said, let's go for it. Now this car is named the 50/50 after the ice cream. I love the orange with the white interior, the white stripes, and the white top. It's stunning. Everybody comes up to me and goes, wow, it's just stunning. This is a cool part of it. We take the body off the chassis. Why? Because we're gonna box that chassis and reinforce it so it's super strong. When we got it apart, we put a beautiful undercoating on it to totally make it weather tight and waterproof. We modified the firewall. That's a lot of work to smooth that bad boy out so it looks clean. Also, the trans tunnel is modified because we got to get that engine and transmission at the exact location that's going to make it really, really well for smooth driving usability. I'll tell you what, when we say it's remanufactured, it truly all comes apart and goes back together better than it ever was before. It's incredible. You know what's really crazy is I want these things to handle like a new car but look old, right? To get there, all the QA1 suspension, the box chassis, all is co-relational. Anyways, we got a 6-piston caliper, Willwoods in the front, 4-piston calipers in the back, and we took a standard Chevelle stopping distance from 170 feet from 60 to 0 down to 84 feet. Isn't that crazy? This thing stops and handles amazing. Actually, I drove a 1970 Hurst 442, gorgeous car, 455 big block yesterday, and I couldn't believe how heavy and sluggish it felt. This car feels light, quick. Visit me, I'll give you a ride one of these cars. It's nuts how it all integrates together. Even on the first one, I was in shock. Oh, baby. Wow. Is that not incredible? Another thing that's really innovative is, I call it the bat wing. On the back at the top of the chassis, we actually connect the two sides of the chassis together, even after it's boxed. I call it bat wing because we have a array of mounting points that are actually set up so it changes the suspension in the back of the car. Right? Do you want to change the suspension in the back of the car? If you got QA1s, like these are coil over, double adjustable. You can adjust the compression and the rebound. But the one thing you can't adjust is how flexible or how much they'll absorb without spinning them up. You don't want to do that. That's not a good idea. Preloading those springs does not give you a good ride. I want a really good ride. But if you want to take it to the drag strip, you put those shocks splayed all the way down, and then the car is going to sink in the back and jump out of the hole. If you want to go take it to a road race course, put it all the way at the top, and you will get incredible stability hooked up with the front and rear sway bars. I love this car. Let's hit it. All right, guys, now that we're back at the shop, it's almost the end of the day. We went on our final ride. Let me show you the cool details of the car that I'm just so proud of that we made with the 3D printer in our body shop. Forced induction. Do we really have forced induction? Oh, yes, we do. That's the part I was telling you about. The cold air intake is mounted down behind here. See that? The cold air rushes in the bottom there, comes through a vent hose that's mounted up here. You see that, Murph? You got it? See the hose? There you go. You got the hose. Perfect. Anyways, now the air comes up. Oh, look at the lighting. Woo-hoo! And it goes right into here, channeled through the stainless steel, and it ends up going right into the motor. Not only do we have the beautiful work that we did on the badging and details of the car that I fell in love with, but we painted the valve covers with clear. These are just absolutely stunning, gorgeous. And the star of the show is obviously the motor and the details that we put into this thing. The lighting on this tilt switch, right? Boom, on comes the light, and this is the star of the show. You go to a concert, the lights come down and the star of the show is right in the center of the stage. Also, a cool thing we did was with the 3D printer and all the fun that we're having printing up parts that you can actually get from us, right? These are all the badging that we did on the car, forced induction. I put my finger right there and it's forward induction. No, everything, even the horsepower on the motor. We put that there. The badging on the car is awesome. It's awesome. One more thing I want to show you is these cool gaskets that we built for the door handles. Look how crisp and how clean that looks. The door locks, all that stuff. The custom work that we're doing with the printed materials, because we've got the 3D printer, we've got my crazy brain, and I got some really good guys helping me build these cars, really makes a huge difference. It is a revelation. It's restoration revelation. Speaking of revelations, that's the end. The last book in the Bible tells how the world is going to end. Let's actually read a little bit of that today. Guys, this is where we sit down and have a talk about the Bible, right? It's my favorite part of the whole episodes. Really, the reason I do it is to share it with you. I don't care really if people are, I'm not that interested in like selling a million parts or having to sell a million cars. I've been in a Bible study for like 6-7 years, and it really has changed my life. And the reason I keep bringing it up is I want to encourage you guys to actually jump into the Word of God a little bit. And there's something that I came across I thought was kind of cool this week when I was studying it, because I try to study it, I try to read it every morning. And it's just, it changes my perspective, changes my vision. This is like really cool. So this is Revelations. I'm going to read the beginning. Revelations is like the end of the world. Like for real. Yeah, Revelations talks about like how the end of the world goes. But it was actually written by a guy named John. There was a guy named John that was John. You know the book of John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, right? There was an apostle named John that actually wrote the book of John. He was actually called the disciple or the follower of Jesus that used to hang out with Jesus and that Jesus loved. I thought he loved all of us, and he does, but for some reason, he referenced him that way. So the disciple that Jesus loved, he wrote basically 4 books, I think, of the Bible. It's John, 1 John, 2 John, and Revelations. Anyways, he testifies to it because he was there with Jesus as he was on his journey, sharing the word of God all over the place, dying, crucified on the cross, and coming back. And he talked about that. I'm going to do that next week. I'll share that with you a little bit more about this guy named John. But anyways, so John wrote this, and this is the beginning of Revelations. Like I see everything different with the cars. If you read the Bible, it may just change the way you see everything too. Come on, let's jump in. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants that must soon take place. He made it known by sending his angel to the servant John, who testified to everything he saw. That is the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ. Blessed are those who read the words of his prophecy. Tells the future, doesn't it? And blessed are those who hear it and take it to heart. It is written because the time is near. It is written because the time is near. Anyways, I'm going to encourage you again. If you got believers or friends or family, or you don't know much about the Bible and you have questions, seriously, put it in the comment section. I will do my best to respond to you personally. I think it's a great book. I think it's the most popular book in the world. It's actually 66 different books. And I'm talking about a guy named John. Look, we did a Bible study together. Anyways, thanks for joining us this week. Restoration Revelations. I hope you guys caught a vision for what I'm doing with the cars. And again, I'm going to say, respond, communicate with us, send us a message, send me a message. And, we're just having fun building these beautiful cars in a total revolutionary perspective. All right, peace out. See you next week.